All right, YouTube. This is day one of my $50 to $500 challenge. We will be starting on December 8th, 2025. I want to see how long it's going to take me to make $500. Starting with 50. I'm not going to be using our typical bankroll management skills using 1% or 2%. We're actually going to be using $10 of our $50. So that means if we lose five straight, we're shit out of luck. But I don't expect to lose five straight. Once we hit a certain milestone, I do intend on increasing that amount. So once we get to $100 in our bankroll, then I will go to $15 bets instead of $10 bets. But without further ado, we're going to be talking about today's slate and what I think the best bets are for today. So we have the Sacramento Kings versus the Pacers. We have the Phoenix Suns versus the Timberwolves, and we have the San Antonio Spurs versus the Pelicans. I like this slate. I like when we don't have too many games because then I can actually focus in more and lock in more on my research. And basically, what I use for my technique, a lot of the teams that I like to play against are playing. So the very first game we have is Sacramento Kings versus the Pacers. On the injury report, we have Dennis Schroeder, who's a game time decision, which is big. Keegan Murray, game time decision, which is also big. And then we got Domantas Sabonis out, which is huge because these are a lot of points and production that will be missing for the Kings. And on the Pacers side, they've been hurt all season. However, it's a lot of them that are bouncing back. So Quentin Jackson out, Cam Jones out, Ben Shepherd out, Neesmith out, Obi Toppin out. A lot of these guys have been out for a long time, except for Ben Shepherd. He's played a little bit. But with that being said, that means it should be a somewhat fair matchup. The Pacers are favorites in this one. Personally, I think the Pacers are better, but I do like the Kings. A lot of the Kings' have losses have been closer games. They just can't finish games. So I believe that they are more than capable of pulling away with this one. But the Pacers have looked good as of recently. They have won, I believe, their last. Okay, they lost one, but they probably won four out of the last five. They won three out of their last five. Kings have lost four out of their last five. So we're going to see how that works today. But the picks that I'm looking at today that stood out to me for this game is Pascal Siakam. His line is at 25.5. Now it really just depends on what app you're on or what sportsbook you're using. So me personally, I've been using Bet365, and on Bet365, his line is actually at the 25.5. I like to buy my points down, so I will go 25 points. But, however, I don't think Siakam will cover this. My pick for today for Siakam will be under 25.5 points for the simple fact of Siakam does average 25 points per game. However, all of his great games are versus better teams. So the Sacramento Kings, they are in the bottom 10 of NBA in points allowed versus opponents. And Siakam versus those opponents has not covered this line. He has covered this line twice out of the last five games. So also with the Pacers having their injured players, like Nembhard was out for a little minute, now he's back. TJ McConnell was out for a little minute, now he's back. A lot of those higher scoring games where he covered this line were up here, and that's when they were injured. So now that they're winning more, they won their last three out of their last five. You can see that his production, I don't want to say has gone down, but his points production has gone down for the simple fact of a lot of those other primetime players on the Pacers, other than, Tyrese Halliburton, are there and able to give some shots. So I'm going with under here. Obviously, I'm just giving a recommendation. Always go with what you think is best. And the second prop I like a lot for today is Zach LaVine. But here's the thing. We're going to go Zach LaVine points on the over. His line is at 21.5. I have that as well on my sports book on Bet365. It's at minus 115. And Zach LaVine started crazy during the season. He was averaging way more than 21 points. He averages about 21 now. But he averages way more than 21 points. With Dennis Schroeder being out, with Keegan Moore, I think they're game time decision. Sorry, with Dennis Schroeder being game time decision, Keegan Murray being game time decision, and Sabonis being out, that's a lot of production that you're losing. Sabonis can get you a cool 10 to 20 points depending on the night and the opponent. Keegan Murray, he's going to knock down a shot if he gets it. He'll give you a cool 10 to 12. Dennis Schroeder, he'll give you about 12 to 15, maybe even 17 one night. So if they're not playing, the production has to go somewhere else, and that production will go to, my opinion, Zach LaVine. He takes the most shots on the team. He averages the most minutes on the team, and then it would also be going to DeRozan and Westbrook as well. But I like this line at 21.5 because I think it's quite low. Not to mention that Zach LaVine just dropped 42 points his last game versus the Bulls. And I think the line is so low because he dropped 2 points versus the Houston Rockets. In my opinion, the Houston Rockets have the best defense in the league right now. That doesn't, give an excuse to only drop 2 points if you're a leading scorer and if you have the most shots attempted on a team. However, personally, Zach LaVine is Zach LaVine. He's a fucking bucket. He averages 25 every year. He's been averaging 25 for his damn near his whole career. It'd be silly of me to not choose Zach LaVine to score 22 points, over 21.5 points, versus an Indiana Pacers team who is in a bottom 10 in scoring allowed versus opponents. Indiana gives up points to all of their opponents. All of their wins, they've just outscored their opponents. Indiana is a very, very high-paced team. They score a lot of points, but they also give a lot of points in the process of doing so. So if they're going to give up 115 points, 120 points a game, I can't see why Zach LaVine doesn't get 22. So I'm going over on 21.5 for Zach LaVine. I like that play a lot. The very next game we had was the Phoenix Suns versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. So on the injury report here, we got Kobe Bryant, game time decision. He's a rookie, I believe. Isaiah Livers, not sure how much he contributes. Dylan Brooks, game time decision, which is very huge because he takes a lot of volume of shots other than Devin Booker, who is out today, and Jalen Green is out today. So 3 of their primary go-to scorers are out today for the Phoenix Suns. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Terrence Shannon Jr., game time decision, Anthony Edwards, game time decision. All right, and I'm going to tell you my favorite play for today is Julius Randle. So initially I was looking at Anthony Edwards, but with him being on the injury report and his injury being an illness, I wasn't too sure. I had his name right here on this list, but I just opted out to the next option. So Ant averages 28 points. Julius Randle averages 23 points. His line today is at 23.5. However, I'm going for the under. You want to know why I'm going for the under? Julius Randle does not perform well versus top 10 teams in the NBA. So just like how I was looking at the top 10 teams for points allowed, I'm also the bottom 10 teams in points allowed. I'm looking for the top 10 teams for points allowed as well. And Phoenix, they ain't going. I think Phoenix is number 10. And Julius Randle versus all of the other top 10 defenses has not met this line once at all. And if we look at his recent performances, yes, he covered in 2 out of the last, 5? He's covered this a decent amount of times over the season. They said the under hit 9 out of 15 in the last 15 games of the 24. So even the prop analysis is saying the logical thing to do based off of his recent history is to take the under. But a lot of these teams right here are top 10 teams. OKC is a top defense. Boston is a top defense. The Spurs are a top defense. The teams that he went over on were the Utah Jazz, who is bottom 10 in points allowed. Sacramento, which is bottom 10 in points allowed. In Denver, they're not in bottom 10. I think they're 17 in points allowed, but they put up a lot of points as well. So that game, I would say, probably went to overtime, or probably was a very close game where they needed Julius Randle to perform. Washington, they're 30th. They're literally last in points allowed. New Orleans, they're bottom 10 in points allowed as well. The Clippers, they are also bottom 10. So, or maybe like they're 19. So, a lot of his games where he covered were versus teams that did not play good defense. As you can see, all the teams that are in the top in the top 10 defense are right here. He didn't even cover, didn't even really come close. The closest he had was 22. The line was 24. All right, so that's my analysis for today. I will go under Julius Randle today. And even if the game is close, which I don't think it is, I think this game has blowout potential with the Suns missing 3 of their stars. Now, I could be wrong. You got Colin Gillespie, who's over there. You still got Grayson Allen, who's over there. They could put up a fight. I don't know what the Suns have to offer. They're kind of hot right now. Let's see what their last 5 look like. See, the Timberwolves have won their last 5. The Suns, they are 2-3 in their last 5. So I think the Timberwolves are very hot right now. I think that this game has a lot of blowout potential. If that's the case, that's going to be reduced minutes for Julius Randle anyway for him to hit that 24 points. But if it was a blowout, there's also a chance that he could hit that. 24, and he could be the reason that they're being blown out, especially if Ant's not there. So it's kind of iffy, but based off of what I've seen in the past history and his past performance versus those top 10 teams, I'm going under on Julius Randle, 23.5 points. And the last game we have for today is San Antonio Spurs and New Orleans Pelicans. Now, before I get into that game, make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and turn on post notice so you can be a part of the $50 to $500 journey. This is my first time making sports betting content, so I wanted to bring everybody along with me. I've been sports betting for a little while now, so I want to show you guys that, you know, I am capable. A regular schmegular dude is capable of being profitable in the sports betting market while doing it the right way. So make sure you tune in and subscribe and support the channel so that way you'll get notified and that you'll be here all the time. All right. So last game, San Antonio Spurs versus the Pelicans. Injury report: Jordan McLaughlin out, Luke Cornett game time decision, Wemby out. We knew that already. They don't have Stephon Castle in the injury report, but he was injured and missed the last few games, so I will watch out for him to be a game time decision as well. For the Pelicans, Jordan Poole is out, which is big, but he's been out. Herbert Jones game time, which is huge. Zion, huge. DeJounte ain't played all year. All right. So, like I said, this right here is my favorite play of the day. All right. De'Aaron Fox over on 24.5 points. De'Aaron Fox actually averages 25 points in 14 games. Originally, if Wemby was not injured, Wemby would have been most likely the player I would have gone with, considering Wemby averages, I believe, 28 or something like that. As you guys may have not noticed yet, New Orleans is in the bottom 10 in points allowed. They give up the most points in the NBA. And with that being said, I'm always going to look at those players who have high usage, who get high shots. And De'Aaron Fox is going to be that guy, with Wemby being out and Stephon Castle being questionable. Even with Wemby there, De'Aaron Fox was averaging over 20. But with Wemby being out, De'Aaron Fox has covered this line multiple times. All right. So when we scroll down here, as you can see, he covered in 4 of the last 5. He's covered in almost all his games except for right here in this gap. This is when Wemby was here. The team that I would have paid attention to where he didn't hit, which was in bottom 10 in points allowed, which is Chicago, which is right here. And he had 21. Wemby had, I believe, 34 that game or something. And New Orleans, the first time they played, he needed 25. He had 24, but Wemby had 18 and 18, and Stephon Castle had a great game. Denver, not a bottom team, but all these other teams, Sacramento crushed it. Memphis crushed it. Atlanta, they're not a bottom team. Phoenix, not a bottom team. Portland, they are crushed it. You feel me? So it's a lot of evidence showing me that De'Aaron Fox is more than capable of covering this line, because he's covered it damn near all season. And with Wemby being out, the usage is going to him. So this is my very favorite pick for today. If I had to recommend a pick, it would be this De'Aaron Fox pick. And my second pick would be Zach LaVine. Third would probably be under on Randall. Fourth will be under on Pascal. But those are my top picks for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment your picks down below. And if you hit, let's make some money together. I hope y'all enjoy this journey just as much as I do.